First of all, a warm welcome to this meeting to all the speakers and guests. I am Carla Koers. I am a member of the City Council of Zevenaar, a municipality in the east of the Netherlands, near the border with Germany. We are like a spider in a web for logistics and distribution. And the theme of today, Size Doesn't Matter, brings us to explore possibilities in sustainable forms of transportation. I give you a few housekeeping rules. To ask questions, go to chat and then session. To view polls, go to polls and then session. To view who is attending, go to people and then session. To maximize the screen, you can hide the chat or double click. After the session, try the networking function and visit the exhibition area. All the speakers have 8 minutes for their presentations. Afterwards, there is time for questions. I hereby give the floor to our first speaker, Mr. Lasse Brand.
Thank you, Carla, and hello everyone. Just give me a second to share my screen. I hope now you can see my full screen. Yes, Carla, can you see my screen? Okay, I'll just assume it. So welcome everyone. My name is Lasse Brand. I'm working for Rupprecht Consult, where we have developed a strategic transport planning guide specifically for smaller cities. It's not done yet, but I have a close to final draft, which I'm glad to present to you today. So the 3 main points of my presentations are: 1, the specific mobility challenges in smaller cities; 2, recommendations for the planning process; and 3, then the concrete policies and measures that the guide recommends. So there are many different definitions of smaller cities. We understand it roughly as cities and towns from 5,000 to 100,000 inhabitants. So it's not villages, not the rural area, but not big cities either. But these exact numbers are not so important. What's more important are the common challenges in planning. While there are many types of cities in the size range, most of them tend to be car-dependent communities with relatively weak public transport and relatively low share of walking and cycling. And when it comes to planning, they usually struggle with very limited resources. Often only 1 or 2 people cover transport planning or strategic transport planning, and they also have to cover other areas. And while decision-making can be a little bit quicker because there are less people to involve, the cities are also quite dependent on higher levels, on the regional level, on the national level. So all of this together is quite a challenge and calls for a very straightforward, less complex planning process, and also a good coordination of activities on regional level. Another hinder is that people often see less of a need to change something. Traffic is often seen as less problematic. But here I have two things why I would say that strategic transport planning actually is very important for small cities. The first thing is, yes, there are not the same problems as in big cities. Air quality or congestion or space is less of a problem, that's true. But there are many other things that are related to keeping cities attractive, economically strong, prosperous, and they are quite connected to the transport system. Because in small cities, often you have problems to keep the shops and services in the city center alive. Young people tend to move away. Sometimes you have problems with unsafe roads and speeding cars, and noise from through traffic. Truck traffic can be a problem. and also lack of daily activity. So there's a lot of these aspects that are actually really relevant for small cities. And strategic transport planning can focus on the strengths, the nice environment, and the more walkable and bikeable distances, and combine them with better access to amenities, jobs, and culture that people want to really keep your smaller city attractive. And the second thing is in terms of planning and planning processes. Also here, actually, strategic planning can help you to save resources, because while it makes you more visible towards the EU level, to national funding maybe, can be a vehicle to coordinate actions regionally, but also while it, of course, takes a little bit of effort to develop a strategic plan, once you have it, and once you have an agreed list of priorities and measures, this can really save time afterwards in the daily work and also in the political debates. So how is all of this supposed to be achieved? How do you put it into practice? Which planning steps are really essential, and which ones could you maybe step in a smaller city? Here my main message would be, you shouldn't skip a step, but you can be quicker in many steps. So regardless if you're big or small, you of course need to take a political decision to aim for sustainable mobility. You need to set up some kind of working structures, get key stakeholders on board, do a good analysis. You need to agree on a shared vision, objectives and targets, define measures, policies that fit your targets, agree on the responsibilities, the financing, and then implement the measures. But the way all of these steps are done, they can be quite different in smaller cities. And there are three main differences that we have found in our work. Firstly, smaller cities are quicker. They tend to use less time. Around 1 year for a strategic plan is common, including adoption, while bigger cities, they use more time usually. And why? Because this is often mentioned as a barrier by smaller cities, that it takes too much time. That's why we have really focused on this, and we recommend easier, quicker processes for all of these steps in our guide. And I can't go into the details here, but some of the things that make it quicker are that you need to involve less stakeholders. There's a smaller transport network to analyze, fewer sectoral plans to coordinate. You can limit to a few key targets and focus on a few key measure areas, because other areas, maybe they're already covered by the regional level, or they're not so relevant in your city. So the second thing is that smaller cities tend to focus more on the operational things, the second half of the cycle, and less on the strategic. Often it's relatively quick to agree on a vision, to agree on a general strategy, but then selecting the right measures can be tricky, especially if you have limited funds. You can feel like, oh, but I can't afford any measures, what should I do? And that's why we have focused a lot on the guide on giving concrete recommendations, what measures have worked well in many cities, in many smaller cities, and might well worth be copied. I mentioned some of those later. Then the third is really the regional coordination dimension. Because so many traffic streams will cross the boundaries, will go between cities, especially in the smaller cities where many people might commute to a bigger close-by town and so on. You should really push for this regional dimension if you're a small city. You should ask your region, maybe you should take the lead. We can develop a plan on the regional level, and we just focus on the local issues in our. But if this doesn't work, you could at least push that some areas are covered on the regional level. For example, attractive public transport is really difficult to organize if you're just a small city. Usually you need a bigger area to do that. And then you in your city could focus on the remaining issues. For example, walking and cycling, parking, and so on, which are really local issues. So much for abstract recommendations for the planning process. Let's look at the concrete measures. Of course, there's no one-size-fits-all solution. Depending on your context and what you've already done, there are always different things. But we have found a few general recommendations. Just very shortly, starting with popular measures can be good to create further dynamics. Starting with very visible places like the town center can be effective. Using temporary measures, light and cheap solutions, placemaking has worked pretty well in several small cities. Also to not focus too much on new infrastructure, but rather use what you have, tweak it, and use mobility management, also volunteer-run public transports and so on. So there is a lot of options on the table. And then also a recommendation is to not always aim for the most advanced thing that is maybe discussed on the main stage in the POLIS conference now, but sometimes you can already reach a lot if you just cover the fundamentals and do all the things good that have already worked well in other cities. Because 8 minutes is short and I might approach them already, I'll be short here. So more concretely, we have these 10 measure fields, and for each of them, we have summarized on 2 to 4 pages what smaller cities can do here. To keep it short, I will only show this list, and I will end with 4 slides, which just show some nice photos and examples to show you the wider range of things that is possible in smaller cities. So you can, for example, use school streets, walking buses, cycling trains to help children walk and bike to school, like in Bolzano. You can apply traffic calming in residential neighborhoods to increase safety and make it easier to walk and cycle around, to move around in the neighborhood, like in Torrelodones. And you can connect all of your walking measures in a good network and also communicate it well, like in Pontevedra. You can also focus on biking, install cycle paths, cycle parking, bike sharing system, like in Karditsa, from we'll also hear later. Or you maybe even arrange for a cycle street, like in Turnhout. You can restructure your public transport network to focus it around fast and frequent main bus lines with feeder services, and use mobility hubs to connect them well with the other modes of transport used for the first mile, like in Groningen and Drenthe. You can also use experiments to activate the public space, make it more attractive. For example, with temporary measures like the pedestrianized main street in Kosovac in Serbia. Or you can use quick placemaking methods and events, such as on the main square here in Cesis in Latvia. And last slide, you can also offer services to attract people who can work from home, like in France, and where they've quite successfully attracted a lot of remote workers, which is maybe quite relevant in times of COVID, where everyone can work many people can work from where they want. You can cooperate with existing employers to tailor mobility offers for their workers, like in Austria. And you can also guide trucks to the main roads to increase livability in your town and ensure a good flow of goods. So much just from some of the examples we have. There are much more examples in the guide, and a lot is possible in smaller cities. Thank you for listening, and I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, yes, well.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Lasse, for your presentation. It was very useful for us as the small cities. I have a question, and I would ask the listeners also to have their questions on the screen by the chat. That's the most convenient. You have said it is also interesting getting ready for an aging society. Would you give me an example for that, for the possibilities of an aging society?
Yeah, I mean, especially in an aging society, the public transport is really important, because at some point you can't drive the car anymore, you shouldn't drive the car anymore. And that's when you only have one bus per day. Of course, that's not feasible. And so I think that's why you shouldn't see public transport only as an environmental issue. It's really more, it's a basic need for people. And if you manage to make it so attractive that not only the people use it that don't have another choice, then it's also easier to finance it. If you have something that only covers very old people and school children, then it's really hard to finance it. But if you have something that really is attractive enough so that also people like me maybe bike to the next mobility hub and then take the quick bus into the next big town instead of using my own car, I think then it's getting more feasible also financially. And yeah, there are some examples around there where this works.
I have another question for you. Where do you think we can make the strongest progress towards sustainable mobility? In smaller or in bigger cities?
Well, I think it's easier in bigger cities, of course, because you have the densities and more dynamics generally. But my argument is that we shouldn't forget the smaller cities, that actually there's a lot of things that are possible. And everyone is already talking about the big cities. So that's maybe not so new. And we know what the solutions are there. But let's also focus at the small cities.
Thank you. Another question. How to prioritize measures in small cities? How to involve citizens in deciding how to use limited resources and funding?
Well, in essence, I would say you would use the same methods as in any other city. So what we recommend in the SUMP guidelines is that if you have a list of measures, then you would make a structured assessment. How much does this contribute to our goals? How much does this cost? Who else do I rely on for this? Can I do this alone, or do I need other people for it? And then you rearrange your list by priority, and then you have a top short list. So that is the same method, I would say, as in a bigger city. But what could, of course, be difficult if you see that you need the region or you need the national level for a lot of these measures. I mean, I've seen that in some smaller cities, they have really good ideas, but then the biggest street through their town is a national road, and they don't have the authority to do a lot with it. It can be a little bit hard to communicate also to citizens, but then you have to be clear. Yeah, we want to do something here. We know people are driving too fast here, but we are in contact with the national level to do something about it. But yeah, it needs time sometimes.
There are a lot of questions, but we are out of our time. So I will thank you very much for your clear presentation. And I will give the floor to our next presentation. And that is Mr. Konstantinos Asikis of the Municipality of Farkadona.
Hello, everyone. Hello, too. Good morning from Karditsa. I'm very pleased to be here with you today. Konstantinos and I will do the presentation for both municipalities. Thank you for attention in advance. Konstantinos, you can begin.
Thank you, Natalia. Okay. I will show you some pieces of our small cities success story puzzle regarding, of course, sustainable mobility, but not only. The title of our presentation is The Great Small Ones, and I believe to this title because small cities can be great in their activities. There is no doubt that small cities are vivid areas which have shown impressive achievements regarding sustainable mobility. Additionally, they have the ideal size in order to undertake their role as mobility test beds in various initiatives. Karditsa and Farkadona are two neighboring small rural Greek cities that they are successful examples of this fact. Karditsa is a medium small city, 39,000 inhabitants, and is the European Mobility Week last year finalist and the European Mobility Week this year winner. Farkadona is a quite small municipality, 13,000 inhabitants, and is a very active European Mobility Week participant. And it is among the members of the Road Safety Roundtable. Karditsa, let's show you some measures taken by the two towns. Karditsa, some permanent measures is the bicycle cabinets at the bus station, the bicycle racks in local buses, the clean energy vehicles, installation of a two-places charging station for electric cars, and the notable is the power is provided without charge for the inhabitants. Caterpillar-shaped stickers to guide pupils to the pedestrian crossings, 3D pedestrian crossings, speed reducing to 30 kilometers per hour, extending bike lanes network, paved and sidewalk of sports park, bicycle repair stations, 2 stations, and one of them has the ability to charge the electric bicycles. City branding as the cycling city. This is very important because last year's efforts of the municipality of Karditsa is to be the cycling city of Greece. So we have Skybiker plates, Skybiker luminous models. We have applications about regarding car sharing, carpooling up on the municipal official website, providing of bicycles to the municipal employees for free. Continuing the city branding as the cycle city, we have the adoption of the Skybiker, an artwork by Pantelis Sambaliotis, a Greek artist, as the official city logo. Very important, this. We have a tax policy. We have 20% lower municipal taxes for the entrepreneurs who take action in favor of sustainable mobility. Very important. We have many rewards, awards for businesses and rewards for the municipal employees for the implementation of sustainable mobility activities. We have, of course, car-free days, bike riders in the frame of European Mobility Week. We take the mobility as a play with street festivals and active pupils. And of course, the dissemination policy, video productions, media, articles, and conferences. And some European networks and projects like Civitas. The notable is the mayor of Karditsa is a member of the political advisory committee, the PAC of Civitas, and the recent project of Karditsa, the co-ops. The main partner of this project is the EIT Institute. And the awards, 3 awards of the Greek Ministry of Environment. And the first place, 3 times to the national awards Back to Work. And of course, the European Mobility winner 2018 and the finalist 2018 and the European Mobility winner 2019. Some photos and Farkadona in my town. We had the first intelligent bus stop in Greece. Regarding innovation, one of the first smart road crossing projects in Greece. We made the pupils to create their own pedestrian crossings outside their schools. We have now an extended urban lighting network upgrading with LED lights and IoT technologies. And we take also take the mobility as a play, as an art. We have many street art festivals and many festivals regarding creative pupils. And of course, awareness raising, lessons to students, the pupils, and some other activities like Walking for Mobility and Students in Action, regarding walkability. Car-free days, of course, connectivity, bike rides, and some exhibitions. We are also a member of European networks and projects like Civitas, Healthy Cities, Rupprecht 3, our dear colleague previously referred about the impacts of the sustainable mobility to the health. The DITS and the Prospect Horizon 2020 just participants in these projects. Dissemination policies, conferences, radio webinars, and some hackathons about smart cities. And of course, our awards from the Ministry of Environment. We had the special awards this year, and 2 twice were awarded us with the silver award on the best cities Greek awards. And the most important, the Farkadona Municipality was a member of the declaration, the new paradigm for safe city streets, along with POLIS and Eurocities and 9 other municipality cities. Among them some very important cities like Berlin, Lisbon, London, Madrid, Barcelona. In the launch event in Brussels last year. Some photos from this event. So the aspects, we have the territorial and socio-political aspect. Small cities claim their important place regarding European policies, the technical and scientific. The measures which have been taken comprise an integrated basket of good sustainable mobility practices. Some remarks, we have some similar mobility problems with the other bigger cities, in medium cities in comparison with the big ones in their centers, due to the fact that their socio-economic life is governed there. We have equal amount in fatal accidents in rural territories in comparison with the urban ones, due to the higher speeds, the false sense of safety in our cities, and the insufficient safety measures and the lack of caution. In the opposite, we have opposite mobility problems the main mobility problem for small municipalities, on the contrary to the big ones, is the isolation of their communities. So, as a result, Karditsa has a reputation across Europe as a sustainable mobility-friendly small-medium city, and Farkadona is a small but distinctive European partner regarding the evolutions which concern mobility. They multiplied the impact to the health, connectivity, competitiveness, social cohesion, environment, on how technology, sustainability, life quality, and tourism. And as a conclusion, small cities are important parts of the European economic, environmental, and social life, and crucial for the territorial development. They have also proved that they have the willingness, the potential, and the capacity not only to contribute in the sustainable mobility matters, but even to pilot the evolution concerning them. We have assets, the necessary, the community cohesion, and necessary during the stakeholders' engagement and involvement procedures, and the ideal size, because we are living labs in our world during the sustainable mobility initiatives. So my advice for all, follow the steps. Thank you very much. For all small municipalities, I mean.
Thank you very much, Konstantinos and Natalia. There is a question for you, and the question is, can you tell some more about the smart road crossing?
Yes, of course. Smart crossing is a project regarding road safety. Because we have many people among us without some disabilities or mothers with children, etc. Smart crossing can have some use IoT technologies in order to understand the time in which the pedestrian is in the side of the road, and have the potential to cross the road by using the IT technologies. It's very, very important, especially for the big roads with high congestion, and I think will be the rule for the next years is very useful for the next years in the big, especially in the big cities. But our small cities, as I referred, are test beds for these innovations.
Another cooperation with providers.
I don't hear you. I don't hear you.
How is the cooperation with providers? Are you using public partners and private partnerships?
How the providers and the other partnerships. So this is our privilege because the social cohesion is bigger in small cities. The more small city, the more the bigger social cohesion. So it is easier for us to engage the local stakeholders. Many of them are entrepreneurs and have the willingness to make their city known outside the borders.
Last question, there are a lot of more questions, but I have a last question, and that's, which is your level of congestion within the city?
We have not congestion, only Karditsa and only in its historical center, because as referred, we have some similarities in the historical centers. So Karditsa has some congestion problems in its center. So regarding this purpose, Karditsa provide all the measures regarding cycling and walkability and walking. In the opposite, the main problem in Farkadona is the connectivity between our small towns, our villages. Natalia, I don't know if you want to add some in this.
No, you said it all. Thank you.
Okay, I will thank you both for the presentation. You are very active. I have a lot of questions, but that's out of order at this time. But thank you very much, and I will give the floor to the next speaker. And the next.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much too.
And the next. You're welcome. The next speaker is Mr. Frank van den Bos and Mr. Matthieu Graindorge from the city of Helmond.
Hello, good afternoon to you all. Can you hear me? I think so. Good afternoon to you all. From Helmond, we give you a two-voice presentation. I first try to explain why we as a medium-sized city were involved into mobility and traffic solutions. And later on, my colleague Matthieu Graindorge try to focus on the lesson learned. First, some things about Helmond. Helmond is a medium-sized city, I told you, with about more than 19,000 inhabitants. It's very close to Eindhoven. It's the second city in the Brainport region, and the Brainport is an innovative region in the southeast of the Netherlands, with in Eindhoven a high-tech campus, and in Helmond the automotive campus. And on the automotive campus, there are 35 companies which having a focus on automotive and mobility. And you may wonder why Helmond decided to foster innovative mobility and traffic. Matthieu and I will try to explain it to you. But first of all, why is a medium-sized city an asset for innovative projects? First of all, on a limited territory, we have a concentration of stakeholders, and we know them well and can easily bring them together. We are also usually close to the citizens as a medium-sized city, and they are committed to innovation, and they want to see what innovative solutions can be useful for them. Another thing is you have to dare, because decision and project managers in SMC have usually more will and freedom to dare to experiment innovative actions. They need to show quick wins and therefore are pushing hands-on pilots. And usually an SMC has a small budget and staff, but this constraint can be an asset. Why we believe that SMCs can have a good adaptation of capacity and find original and innovative solutions. But to explain why we as SMC have been involved in innovative projects, I have to go back to the traffic problems in our city. We have a large road in our city which splits our city in two halves, and this road that have a high traffic volume with 30,000 cars a day and more than 2,000 trucks, and also significant impact on congestion, noise, pollution, and crossability. In the early 2000s, we saw the problems that the predictions of mobility, that still mobility was still growing. And growing mobility was also growing problems in our city, so we had to take measures in our city. And on that point, we are on a crossroad. On one way, we had to build new infrastructure, or we had to implement traffic management or CITS solutions. And we decided, also because of our financial capacities, to invest in smart solutions, and we install smart traffic lights to manage the traffic and to manage the traffic problems in our city. Helmond is also aware that it is need to have synergy with stakeholders. So not only the traffic department of Helmond, but also the economic department work close together. The output has been the creation of the automotive campus, where a lot of dynamic firms and startups, they resulted in two advantages for Helmond. One, they developed a lot of smart mobility solutions, but also there was a lot of employment and reinforcement in the city. But also the cooperation with educational institutes like the Technical University of Eindhoven and TNO, a Dutch technical institute, has been very crucial. And the deployment of our limited territory is also, because of our limited territory, we also had to use to work together with other public authorities in the region, such as Eindhoven, but also the whole region. And from this place on, I now give you the voice to Matthieu.
Okay, I hope you can hear me. Thank you, Frank. So we have made ourselves facilitators for pilots and made our city a living lab. Smart mobility has been defined as a crucial objective in our strategy, in our policies, and we have turned these policies into practice. We have made ours this motto: learning by doing. We believe indeed that innovative solutions for the city have to be actively supported and demonstrated in the city. For example, on these pictures, you can see that we closed our main public road for testing purposes. Helmond has become this way internationally recognized as a fertile ground for hands-on pilots. Next slide, Frank. Thank you. Don't worry, I will not detail this slide. I just want to tell you that our pilots benefited from a strong catalyst. Indeed, our involvement in European cooperation projects has boosted our ambitions. It has provided us with an enhanced visibility at European level and beyond. The co-financing has been decisive to carry out, but also our projects would not have been the same without the fruitful cooperation we had with the European partners, whether they be public or private. As Mayor mentioned in the opening plenary sessions, we can make better together. You can see on this slide that we have been participating for more than a decade in many EU projects on ITS and automated driving. Next slide, Frank. Thanks. We have been active in preparing the ground for the introduction of cooperative, connected and automated mobility, CCAM, in the city. However, we have become realistic. The generalization of autonomous vehicles in the art of our SMCs is not for tomorrow. Some actions can, of course, be implemented quite quickly, as a generalization of intelligence assistance, as it was pointed out in the plenary by Guido Rink. But there will be quite a long time period of transition when automated vehicles and conventional ones will cohabitate. The legal framework notably is not mature enough for a general deployment, and even implementing pilots require a lot of efforts. But this does not mean we have to wait and see. Because, to quote a famous sentence, if you are not at the table, you are on the menu. We want to be this evolution of the mobility. We do not want automation to be a technology gadget, but we aim at deploying useful services for users. We believe we have our say and can influence so that CCM goes in that sense. I will give you a few examples of our European projects. In Coexist, for example, we prepared the transition phase. We simulated a shared network of conventional vehicles and automated vehicles. In Secretas, another project, we have been focusing on cyber security and privacy experimenting mitigation actions in case of a cyber attack on an automated vehicle is there. It was fabulous. Despite the difficulties, we have been preparing a pilot automated shuttle service, which in our mind is the first step guiding users in a near future with real and permanent automated shuttle service. In Helmond, automated shuttle services would be efficient last mile solutions, which is an issue in many small and medium-sized cities. We believe in cooperative, connected, and automated mobility, as I said. It implies automation be combined with connectivity. As you saw in the last slides, Helmond has invested a lot in smart traffic management systems. We are convinced that our smart traffic lights will help manage efficiently the automated road transport systems. Last slide, Frank, please. Yeah, thank you. So we would like to conclude on some recommendations or lessons learned derived from our experience. The first one, for cities, in particular SMCs, technology is not an end, but a tool. ITS and automation should generate solutions to address actual local issues. Furthermore, there is no miraculous standard solutions for all cities. The adaptation to the local context is a key aspect, and as it was stated by Lasse, there is no one size fits all. As we have shown, the commitment of local stakeholders and the involvement of the citizens are decisive. Seeing is believing. We have to show innovations to the citizens. We have to explain how they work. We need to involve them and systematically than we do today in Helmond's case, we believe. The quality of data and the efficiency of traffic management are important for the deployment of CCAM, notably the digital map, the traffic light, and the weather condition informations we believe are crucial information for the development of such projects. The update of the knowledge of the city staff has to be done for a successful deployment long term. And as it was stated during the plenary sessions by Lucy Sanders, integration is a cornerstone. Since SMCs have limited resources, it is important that the actions carried out receive an obvious and continuous political support, and that the actions are clearly defined in the policy objectives. SMC has to combine short-term objectives. It was stressed by Frank, quick wins through visible pilots are crucial, and also long-term one by considering the most appropriate business models and conditions for the upscaling. Thanks for your attention.
Yes. Thank you very much for your presentation. We have some questions. I have some questions also, because we are also a small city in the Netherlands. The last mile solutions, the automated shuttles, I'm very interested in that. What is it very expensive is my first question.
I try to answer that one, Frank, and you complete? Yeah, okay. So yeah, we believe actually that the shuttles, the automated shuttles as last mile solutions are solutions, notably because currently what costs a lot for making, for serving by transport, I would say no dense zone, are also the human cost of the drivers and so on. So in the long term, we believe that automated shuttles, which are not big public transport services, but that are flexible transport services, might be a real solutions. And on the cost, it's actually quite difficult for the time being to say, because as I said, there is no permanent services that are available. But we believe that the more development there are, the less the cost will be, as all kind of innovation. So for the time being, we are still in a development phase, but we believe that yes, in the midterm, there will be a deployment of such services in medium-sized cities, I would say.
I have a question. What could you implement from the Greek presentation of Karditsa?
Ooh. There were so many things that that I do not remember all of us. I'm sorry for our Greek partners. But well, I think that I like the ideas that were presented, that are quite simple, but that are really human, I would say. So like the pedestrian crossings, the idea of involving people. I think that we have to take some examples from other cities on that aspects, and that could be something that I would retain from the Greek experience that have been shown to us.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I will now give the floor to another city of the Netherlands. That will be the city of Emmen, meneer Guido Rink.
Thank you very much. First of all, I want to thank everyone for joining this. Can everyone see my presentation? Sorry. I think so, so I'll start. If not, then please mention. First of all, I will shortly tell something about the contents from my presentation. I would like to tell you about the characteristics of Emmen and our green ambitions. Emmen as an SMC has high ambition in playing a role in the launching and the growth of the green hydrogen economy. And afterwards, I will get into reasons for the launch.
Sorry to interrupt, we cannot see your presentation. We hear you well and we see you, but not your slides.
Oh, okay. I have the slides.
So you have to click the screen sharing button at the bottom.
Yes, moment. Right now, it's okay?
Yes, now we can see.
Okay,
thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll start over again, not by showing the contents. I'm sorry about that. Now, first of all, I will shortly tell you about the industrial characteristics of our municipality and our green ambitions. Then, Emmen has SMC has high ambitions in playing a role in the launching and the growth of the green hydrogen economy. And afterwards, I will get into the reasons for the launch of the SMC platform within POLIS. And then I will end my presentation by presenting a couple of discussion points, to which, of course, you are most welcome to add a few more. Emmen is a city located in the northern east of the Netherlands, close to the German border, in the least densely populated area of the Netherlands. We have over 100,000 residents, of which 50% is living in 13 small towns or villages. You might already be familiar with these aspects of my city, but what you might not know is that we also have the largest industry cluster in our city from the northern of Netherlands. Also, the MTech Industry and Business Park is amongst the top 10 users of natural gas. We use over 110 million cubic meters a year, and that's quite a lot. Our key sectors are green chemistry and bioplastics, high-tech and smart industry, and logistics and energy. Energy is in the DNA of our region because we have a tradition with energy. We started with peat, then oil, then gas, and now we are working on some other energy. And energy is therefore in our DNA, and we're going to make a big effort to remain the key player in the energy sector and contributing to the Green Deal goals. The green ambitions of Emmen as a municipality are the next ones. We will strive for climate neutral and self-sufficient in energy supply in 2050, stimulating the matching of supply and demand of locally produced renewable energy. And we want to play a key role in the future of energy supply with green hydrogen and other renewable energy sources such as green gas or solar energy. I already said about green hydrogen. Now, how are we going to do that? As the Northern Netherlands, we have received a EU recognition for our hydrogen efforts so far. The fuel cells and hydrogen joint undertaking of the European Commission has granted a subsidy of 20 million euros with a public-private co-finance of 70 million. The Northern Netherlands is front-runner Hydrogen Valley and meant to be an exemplary region for Europe for the development of a fully functioning green hydrogen chain. Gas is crucial importance for the industrial cluster within the municipality of Emmen. I already told that. Now that natural gas production is declining drastically in the Netherlands, we must provide a good alternative. Green hydrogen is one of those promising alternatives. This project helps us to achieve the climate goals, and it stimulates innovative and sustainable economic development in this region. In addition, this project promotes broad northern cooperation, an important condition for the success of the hydrogen economy. So we're working with other municipalities in that. As an important part of this hydrogen valley is GZI Next Energy. At the beginning of 2018, after years of service, our NAM, is a company, decommissioned the gas purification plant in Emmen and a large part of the regional gas production sites connected to this location. This freed up a unique site with an industrial purpose and existing connections to the regional and national gas and electricity infrastructure. What makes it more unique is the fact that one of the national top 10 users of natural gas, already told about MTEC, is in a couple of meters of it. These businesses face a huge task in reaching the 2050 climate neutral goals. This site can play an important role in contributing to objective CO2 reduction, accelerating the energy transition in the Emmen region. We have a unique opportunity in Emmen, a former gas purification site with all the connections to the gas and electrics, and perfect for serving as a new energy hub. Green hydrogen is one of those energies. The relatively high cost of green hydrogen compared to natural gas is an important obstacle for the industry to make the transition. In order to create the demand for green hydrogen, one or more launching customers are needed. Public transport is often seen as an opportunity for this. Putting in place the 10 hydrogen buses with the funds of Jive 2 and the province of Drenthe, we are able to create the first demand for the green hydrogen, which will be produced in Emmen at this location. This makes the leap for the industrial cluster a bit less difficult to take the transition from natural gas to green hydrogen. As a government, introducing hydrogen buses as first customer of the GZI serves as a first step to kickstart the transition in this industry. In addition, the province of Drenthe will also realize 6 hydrogen fueling stations in our province and already has bought 4 hydrogen cars, and more is happening in our region because the American company Hyzen Motors, in a joint venture with the Northern Netherlands firm Holthausen, will build a factory in Winschoten for several hundreds of hydrogen trucks a year. That's why it's so important to join forces. And join forces, that's why we have our SMC platform. SMCs face all kinds of challenges, such as stimulating sustainable mobility, enabling the take-up of renewable energy, attracting new businesses and employment opportunities. As an SMC, it's impossible to spend unlimited resources on all kinds of necessary innovations. We already heard that in the previous presentations. Due to their size, SMCs offer an ideal ground for testing and implementing new transport technologies and services that are crucial to solve the most pressing mobility challenges. However, some new green technologies require a large scale to justify the substantial investments and allow for a reasonable price. Finding the appropriate launching customer and partners is crucial. As a medium-sized city, it is impossible to arrange all obligatory and necessary investments by ourselves. That's why Emmen, my municipality, is looking for smart cooperation with other authorities, and together with POLIS initiated the SMC platform. The POLIS SMC platform brings together small and medium-sized cities within POLIS and gives them a dedicated platform to discuss governance issues, challenges and solutions that are inherent to their shape and size. And at the same time, the SMC platform wants to promote the SMCs to the outside world as a living lab or living labs for innovation. Launching the Ambassadors initiative was another step forward promoting these opportunities of SMC within Europe. That makes that then the last slide, sorry. One of the conclusions of my presentation is that large investments are necessary in order to be able to reach our 2050 climate neutral ambitions, and that cooperation between the governments and private partners are of vital importance, of course. On the one hand, we find ourselves in a unique situation that an unprecedented amount of funds are available. The EU recovery plan is one of the causes for that. Extremely challenging as an SMC or local government to be able to make use of those funding options. It is therefore, in my opinion, of vital importance that we reach out to each other as SMCs and join forces to let our voices be heard in our national governments and in Europe. How could we benefit from this enormous amount of EU funds? A deciding factor for this distribution of the EU funds is more than ever justness or equal chances for all to benefit from the economic growth caused by the investments. So not only the metropole regions, but also the unique strength and opportunities that we as SMCs should have a good chance to receiving these funds. The example of hydrogen buses show that even though that we as a city are not in the lead of making investments, by creating partnerships based on common goal, we were able to play an important role in making the first steps towards a functioning hydrogen economy. And that's for me now the end of my presentation, and I'm curious if there are any questions or discussion points left.
Thank you very much, Guido. Now there are a lot of questions. One of the questions is, what is in your view the main challenge for an SMC? For instance, how do you attract funding for these hydrogen and mobility projects currently?
Currently, we are in a group of local governments in the northern of Netherlands. A couple of provinces and a couple of municipalities participate, and we join forces, and we wrote in for the fundings in Europe. And we have a good collaboration in the northern of Netherlands. We have 4 cities already working together, and our contact with our provinces in the northern of Netherlands are really great. So to combine those efforts and energy, yeah, that's how we get the funding at this time. have your project clear. Your plans has to be clear. Not going and ask money without plans. Just have the plan and then go for money.
Yes, yes. I totally agree to make use of things. I will also suggest that we join forces in the north and east of our country to get more power to use those fundings.
Yeah, we have similar opportunities as cross-border municipalities.
Exactly. I have also a question of Christina Pauw. But the funding comes from the members of the EU. That's correct.
Yes. Yeah, as all states are giving money to the EU, and then it's going to be, not given away, but I don't know the exact term for it, but they provide money to projects on several themes or projects.
You have to have a good project, and then they will enable you to do these projects. Yes.
Can enable you. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you're almost the last speaker. I have one speaker left, so I will thank you very much for your enthusiastic, and I will give the floor to Carmen Carvalheira of the city of Alentejo.
Hi. Hello. Are you listening?
Yes, we are listening.
Okay. I want to share my presentation, but how can I do that?
You have on your screen 4.
Okay.
Yes. You have a little screen, and then you can share.
Okay.
It's the 3rd one.
Are you already seeing?
No.
There's an icon at the bottom. You see 4 icons: the camera, the mic, and then a screen. And it's on the screen.
Okay. Just a second.
Yes, now it's working. And now you just have to maximize it to slideshow, and then we're good to go.
Okay. Okay. It's okay now?
Yes, it's fine.
Great. So again, good morning for everybody. I'm very glad to be here to present this very important project for Alentejo. It is a project of mobility. We are starting as a on-demand transport project, but we want to evaluate for mobility as a service for all regions. Starting for the presentation of Alentejo region, it is the largest Portuguese region. We are around 1/3 of the country, and also the least populated region. It is a very low density region, and with a very aging population. About 23% have more than 65 years old. So we have a huge challenge to work the mobility here. In the total, we have 58 municipalities, and we want to include all in this project. I want to highlight that we are in the European top 10 in several combined innovation indicators, and also that Alentejo is an emerging region. We have very good results in the last year, and as we can see in this image, in 2019, we are showing an increase of Alentejo innovation performance over time. So we are very glad with the work we are doing. Also, with the being part of the regional Green Deal strategies, we want to follow politicals of leaving nobody behind. So because we want to increase our sustainable societal transition, and we are starting with the mobility. I was saying that it is a very huge challenge, because we have aging population, because it is a huge territorial extension and with a very low density. So a triple challenge to innovate in mobility. So as I said also, we are working in two phases, aiming to adapt all characteristics, because we have a huge territory. We have the coast and also the interior. There are many different characteristics, and we want to include all. So to adapt and to consider these different characteristics, now we are starting the work with 5 regional municipalities for a pilot phase. We are working since 1 year ago, and we intend to finish this pilot phase next year, in the end of next year. Then we are also working to enlarge the project and to evaluate to mobility as a services. So we are already working, and we want to consider not only the taxis, that the taxis are working, are the mobility in the pilot phases, but we want to include every other transport modes, including the ones working with the social entities, because they have adapted their vehicles, so we can include also people with special needs in mobility. Also, every vehicles that are working for health needs. So now, actually, this platform uses already a web platform, but because we are working with aging population, people need to request the trip, and they can do it by a phone call. In the first stage, only taxis are working, and sometimes when there are just a little taxis working, the municipality can include their own vehicles. It is important to say that these vehicles only undertake routes if the service has been requested, and they are not doing the same that public transport. They are just combining the service and the specific needs for the needs that the public service can't respond. So the innovation, these are working in a platform. This platform can optimize every request, and it is possible to collect data from all the needs of this population, because we want to associate all modes of public transport working in the municipalities, in city or in region levels. we want to create a very nice database of mobility in all region. So when somebody do a request, a trip request, there are an output of this platform with the information for the transporter, the public or private operators, one information to the client. They will know when the trip starts, when the trip ends, because it is an optimized trip. The end of the trip will be an information only after the trip is requested, and also the cost of the cost for the user, and also the cost for the municipality, because these costs are complemented. The municipality is responsible for a part of each trip. First results of the working we are doing, and we are dealing with several delays because of the pandemic situation. Now each vehicle can't have the same occupation, so we had to adapt all the platform to these characteristics. But we have a very good acceptance from the public, from the municipalities, and also from the public services on the region. We are already collecting some indicators for the project data, and we are still using some experiences for the trips, and also for the way we can pass the information. We are always adapting according to the needs and the suggestions people are doing. Now we want to as soon as possible to start the second phase, considering the results of this first one. And as I said, with all the delays provoked by this pandemic situation and different characteristics, we are working with our national entities for transport to consider all the needs and all the different ways of transport. I hope 1 year from now, I can have very good results and very news to present about this project. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carmen, for your presentation. There are some questions.
Yes.
Is the platform something you have developed yourself, or do you use an existing one?
We have developed I'm the vice president of the Commission for Coordination and Development of the Alentejo region. So we have very nice teams about working in mobility. And so we started this platform from zero.
Quite an achievement. Thank you.
Yes.
The next question is, are there no schedules or the routes have schedules and you choose which one you want?
We have in the commission, this platform, we are responsible only for the platform. So the municipality says where they want to do all stops, and then we do we received the requests, and we do the optimization through a geographical information system. it is linked to the platform. So we put in the end of the day all the requests, and also the number of cars working, now the taxis, and the number of places in each taxi. And then the geographical information systems do the optimization, and then we put again in the platform, and we do the outputs to the transporter, to the user, and to the municipality, because they want to know the costs of this of each trip.
Thank you. A last question. How do you articulate the service transport providers?
We started only with the taxis. So for now, we are working only with taxis. Now we want to add all public transport modes. So we had collected all the information from the public transport, the buses. We intend not to do anything that is, we want to complement the offer in the region. So they say when they go to some of these stops or some of these trips, when there are needs and they can't do that services, then we can offer a new route. It is always improved with the needs. When the municipalities, they say, like, we need a new route, we need a new stop, we can adapt every day. We can adjust to each need. So they are all working. The national entities are very important here because they need to adapt the offers that are existing for special needs, for health special needs. So we want to collect all the information and to create new possibilities to add the most of the public offer in mobility.
Thank you very much. I will thank all our speakers for your enthusiastic presentations. They were very meaningful, especially for the other cities who are struggling with all kinds of mobility. Zevenaar is also surrounded by a railway, a highway, and 2 rivers. So with all those traffic modalities, we are in collaboration with all the region for pilots and for innovations for sustainability. And we heard a lot of good solutions this day. So we thank you very much, and we'll hope to see you once again. I will now invite you to the session Meet the Dutch. That's start around 1:15. And this afternoon, there will be a session about mobility hubs. So I hope to see you there, and thank you very much for joining us. Thank you.